No time to dilly-dally with the formalities. Giddy up, let's ride. We're right down to the swamp. Florida, number 4, an 18-game home winning streak. But Brandon Cox and Cody Burns were teaming up at quarterback. Throwing was Cox, running was Burns, and Ben Tate was rumbling as well. 4th and 1 gamble. Coach Tubbs goes for it. They move the chains. He's won 9 of his last 10 versus the top 10 if he can win this one. And fellas, Auburn came out on fire.
Auburn was determined in this game to pound the football straight ahead at the Florida defense, and they had success early in the football game.
Speaking of pounding, you know Tim Tebow wants to run it, but here, a little ball fake, deep, looking for his man, and instead he finds Patrick Lee for Auburn. They had a field goal. They lead 17-3, but here come the Gators. Tebow rolling. Cornelius Ingram, he was 22 of 27 efficient. Florida back in the game. You know they're not going to fade at home. And then Tebow, he's a tank. Plows in and ties things back up at 17 apiece. Brand new ball game. 3 seconds left. Wes Byram the kick, and it's good. And Auburn has won.
Yes, yes.
But wait, they're stealing from the pro game. Urban Meyer called a timeout. Coach Tubbs is like, whoa, 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 whoa. What'd they do? They called a timeout. Second try for the freshman. And a game-changing nominee. How about a game-winning nominee? Auburn goes down to the swamp, and they get the victory. Remarkable. Holly Rowe afterwards catches up with the winner, Coach Tubbs. Upset Saturday. It was Oklahoma with an average margin of victory of about 50 going into Boulder, and business as usual. Slow start perhaps, but Sam Bradford, Joaquin Iglesias, and Oklahoma's up 7 in Mayday. You figure, here come the Sooners.
Yeah, they're going to roll again. They're going to roll up another 70-point game.
Yeah, you know, last couple of games, Colorado had 156 yards total against the Sooners. But here you go. Hugh Charles ties things up at 7 apiece. Coach Holtz, this is why you always tell us every week it's a different team, it's a different game.
It is a different team, and it's through 60 minutes. The momentum goes back and forth. Here goes it Oklahoma's way. Alan Patrick takes a handoff, goes 40 yards, puts the Sooners back on top 14-7.
Ultimately, they had a 24-7 lead, but Coach Hawkins' kids did not shrink from the challenge. Cody Hawkins, Tyson Devery, 24-17. Here come the Bucks, basically the entire fourth quarter, to make a move. Got it midfield. They have to punt. OU's going to get the ball back, or are they? Reggie Smith drops it on the. You can't put the ball on the turf. They do. This leads to little play-action ball fake, and how about a game-changing nominee? How about a game-tying nominee? Dusty Sprague, and things are knotted up at 24s. Bradford to Joe John Finley. Would be a first down, except he gets blasted by Terrence Wheatley, which means it's Oklahoma's turn to punt. And on the punt, you see there's about 3 and change left. So Chase McBride will get it, makes one little move, picks up a couple of blocks, and they are right back at the buff at midfield. Colorado in possession. And Hawkins, son of the coach, to Kendrick Celestine, 35-yard line. Oh, they're at field goal range. That thin air up there, boys. Are we going to see another upset? Are we going to see a miracle? Kevin Eberhardt, he beat Colorado State earlier this year with a kick, and he has beaten the number 3 ranked Sooners. Colorado, give me a little Hawk love.
I told him the whole week, I said, guys, we're winning this game, and not because I'm the Swami. I just have seen the things come around and seen the progression of it and know how it works. And these guys have been through the fire, came close a couple times, and they were poised and ready to do it, and they did.
We didn't play very smart. Turned the ball over there late. You know, you just can't have those things happen. And some of the really poor, foolish penalties we had just kill you. And we're not a very smart team right now.
Red River Shootout, well, Texas, they'd be unbeaten for that one, right? You got Vince Young on doing his thing. Everybody happy to see him back. And Colt McCoy here had a rough day, picked off by Ian Campbell. And Kansas State, the boys from Manhattan, Ron Prince's bunch, they looked like the more fired up team, the more dialed in team, didn't they?
They definitely did. And what I was surprised, the lack of effort by Texas on that play, the offense not tackling the defender, intercepting the ball.
Tied up now at 14s. Kicking game, got to be sound. You all have said it on the show so many times over the years. And it's another return for the Wildcats. It's a touchdown from James Johnson, 21-14. Look at Ron Prince stomping up in Austin. Here comes McCoy, picked by Justin Rowland. And check out McCoy, who gets just absolutely stomped by Clayton Cox. McCoy got banged up last year in their game down there in Manhattan, a game which Kansas State won. McCoy has to go in, and then it's pouring, and everything's just going to hell in a handbasket for the boys in burnt orange until McCoy finds Jermichael Finley for 28 yards, which would lead to a short rushing touchdown, and everybody in the Longhorn faithful assumed, all right, things are all right with the world. Or maybe not. Jordy Nelson, 12 catches, 116 yards, and then this finds a seam to the outside. And Coach, when you see this many returns going against one team, what does that make you think?
Well, you cannot give a team like Kansas State a kickoff return, a punt return, an interception return, all three for touchdowns, expect to win.
And K-State, they didn't just, they put their foot on the gas and put their foot on their neck. Courtney Herndon with a pick. Most lopsided loss in Mac Brown's history. 4 picks against Colton. USC doesn't often struggle, but when they do, it tends to be on the road in conference. They're taking on Washington, and UW wearing jerseys honoring their 1960 Rose Bowl team. Looks a little bit like Notre Dame. Stephon Johnson, small gain. USC would lose linemen Christopher O'Dowd and Shiloh Rashal on the play, and boy, they're dropping like flies, but this team is as deep as anybody in the land, obviously. Booty here fumbles, Washington recovers, and Mayday, they were just a sloppy USC team today.
Well, a lot of mistakes in the football game for USC, and they weren't as sharp as they could be, but those injuries are going to start to take its toll.
This kid, Jake Locker, boy, he can really play a little bit. He made everybody up there real happy when he stayed at home. Play action.
Look at the separation between line and quarterback. That's great pass protection.
John David Booty to Patrick Turner, tied at 7. Third quarter, USC's up 3. It's Booty to Big Fred Davis. So many weapons, so many options. They can run you to death. They can go up top if they choose. Stephon Johnson went over 100 yards. Chauncey Washington went over 100 yards. They've just got more tailbacks than anybody. There's a reason they call it tailback U, I guess.
Yeah, but also when you have 15 penalties, 3 turnovers, I think the block punt, you're going to struggle.
You alluded to the block punt right here. It's a 10-point game late. Washington's going to need a miracle, and perhaps they're going to get it. Roy Lewis, the daily double, the block, the recovery, they're inside the 10, and let's give it to Locker again. This guy's a big boy, and it's a 3-point lead for the men of Troy. And on this Saturday, as all the mighty have fallen, I'm sure USC doesn't care. It's not a beauty contest. Do we win? Yes, they do. Terrell Thomas would earlier strip the punt when Washington was going to get the ball at about midfield. They hang on. They survive. Cal Oregon. Game of the day. Game day guys. We'll get to them in just a moment. Deshaun Jackson been scuffling along a little bit for a man of his caliber. Not in this game. It was a low-scoring affair late in the third. Now we're tied at 10s as Nate Longshore hits Jackson. We're knotted up. Then Dennis Dixon finds Cameron Colvin, and back and forth we go, boys. This game really got good in the second half.
It definitely did. The scoring was in the second half, but Dennis Dixon, what a strike there. A perfect pass, but here comes Nate Longshore. Watch this. Oh! Just went into warp speed right there. Deshaun Jackson in for the score.
11 grabs, 161, looking like the Heisman Trophy candidate he is touted to be. Dixon then plows it in. Back and forth we go. We're now tied at 24s after a defensive stop. Story of the game, turnovers, 4 for the Ducks, none for the Bears. Anthony Felder, a big pick, which leads to Justin Forsett. Jackson does it through the air. Forsett does it on the ground. Cal's up 7, and then late, 30 ticks, sticks it to Colvin. Stretching it out. Mayday, you said touchdown, and Lou immediately at first glance says, no, that's a touchback. And the coach was right on this one.
He's got better eyes than that. Much better than I do.
They looked at it, and it was obviously the correct call. Touchback, so all Cal had to do was take the knee for the first time in 20 years. They go into Eugene and get the win, riding the shoulders of Deshaun Jackson. So California perhaps establishing themselves a little bit of separation. USC clearly is still the best in their conference and still the best in the land. But California making a statement going on the road and getting this win. The gentlemen from Game Day were there. They've got more on the Bears win. Thank you, men. Rutgers, they finally began their Division I portion of the schedule. Hadn't played anybody from a BCS conference. Maryland came calling, and Terp fans have been saying, get the ball to Darius Hayward-Bay. I see you, young fella. Touchdown for number 8, the electrifying wideout. The Terps are up 14-3, but Mike Teal playing so much better this year, so much poise and confidence. Hits Tyquan Underwood. Rutgers Mayday takes the lead going into halftime. They look good.
They definitely did. Running the ball, throwing the ball. But here comes Maryland right back. Tell us about it, Scotty.
Chris Turner, the third-string quarterback in because Jordan Steffi got hit in the head. That Laquan Williams, probably the play of the game. That was on third down. Their field goal kicker had been struggling. Keon Lattimore, the Terps just chewed up Rutgers on the ground. Touchdown, 10-point lead for the Terps. Looking to bounce back after the loss last week at Wake. Ray Rice, you know he's going to get his. He was held under 197. It's a 3-point game. 2:38 left in the fourth. 4th and 1 for the Terps. Early in the game, they were stopped on 4th and 1. They're stopped on 4th and 1 again. Rutgers gets the ball back. Last gasp for Coach Schiano and the boys to chop some wood. And Teal hadn't been touched a whole lot this year, but here, Jeremy Nervar plows him under. Lance Ball, the New Jersey kid, would take it in for his second touchdown of the day. And let's go. Who would have thought the most explosive game of the afternoon would be in Madison? Brett Bielema's was 9th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers. They don't always win pretty, but they just keep winning. Brian Hoyer here to Devin Thomas, who's going to get a great block from T.J. Williams right about there. 564 yards for Michigan State in offense, gentlemen. That's not the Badgers football that we're typically used to seeing. They don't give up that kind of yardage.
And they had 9 starters coming back on defense.
P.J. Hill, $155. The Winnebago makes it a 10-point lead in the third. Tyler Donovan, though, picked here in a 3-point game. Travis Key. That would lead to a field goal, and we were tied at 34s. And we watched that Cal-Oregon game that got started slowly, and this game was explosive throughout. Brian Hoyer, late, trying to get into field goal range. 4th and 2, buying time, and time just ran out. Wisconsin survives in the Wild Camp Randall. The celebration is on at Wando's. All right, Ohio State and Minnesota, 8th-ranked team in the Metrodome, and we got a bobble on the kick. And are you kidding me? You got to be sound in the kicking game or creative. The 4th down gamble pays off.
We're lucky.
AJ Trapasso gets his feet wet in the running game, and then let's give it to Beanie Wells because this is more what we're used to seeing.
He
They're
just
a solid
throws into
football
the end
team,
zone.
aren't they?
Nothing on the outside. It's just power up front, and at that time, they just taken over the football game. Nice pass protection here.
You love that line.
Oh, you got to love it. Going deep, wide open. Great catch, though. Good adjustment to the ball.
Robisky.
By Robisky.
That Beckman to Robisky connection has really come on. They sort of got loose out there at Washington, and they had a big game against Northwestern. Now this, and then Brian Hartline, touchdown there, and it's what Ohio State wants. A workmanlike and efficient, never threatened road victory. They get it. Very entertaining game between Joe Paterno's Nittany Lions and the Fighting Illini. And there's a young man by the name of Aurelius Ben from Washington, D.C. Those that know him call him Regis. If you don't know, gentlemen, get familiar because this kid, the true freshman, can go.
You're going to have to call him Mr. Ben because he is a man. What a tremendous game he had.
And if you doubt the coach, which why would you, here's the proof that this freshman is indeed a man. Juice Williams with a 14-10 score. The short slant to the man, Ben. Watch him spin out of tacklers. And Penn State's backers and defense, they are solid. They're not in the business of letting guys get away like that. Ben's second touchdown puts him up 21-10. Then the defense gets going. Anthony Morelli. The pass, and look at Jay Lehman making just a fantastic timed play right there that keeps the lead in the favor of the Illini. And then Lehman with the pick. How big is this win for Illinois if they get it?
Big. They have not won an opening Big Ten game in several years.
And they've lost 30 of their last 33 Big Ten games. People thought they might be a team on the uptick, and they are. Here, Morelli scrambling, gets hit, and Morelli perhaps needed to get 2 hands on the ball, so there were 4 turnovers, which were the Nittany Lions undoing as Illinois gets a big win for Coach Zook. Michigan Northwestern. C.J. Bechet, speaking of turnovers, they just plagued Northwestern late. Brandon Graham is on it. Michigan's ensuing possession as they are trailing here. It's Chad Henne, who became Michigan's all-time touchdown leader in this one, to Adrian Arrington. They got pushed more than maybe we thought they would, guys. Is that about fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. They were trailing early in the football game, but they made a big comeback at the end.
Don't sleep on the Indiana Hoosiers. They're coming on here. They've got some players. Kellen Lewis is one of them. Josiah Sears here gets the ball knocked out of his hands. Now, you don't see the quarterback, Lewis, but look at him go, Coach. I asked you earlier in the day, is that in your playbook?
No, you don't, but just stay alert. He does that. Let's remember this. They gave Illinois a real difficult game last weekend.
Yeah, and here they're going to go into Ames, and this is this was a defense that had given up, what, 2 touchdowns?
Yes.
Like Iowa City, I beg your pardon. Stop stubbing their toe in games they're supposed to win. 13th ranked Clemson in Atlanta taking on Georgia Tech. Got to be sound in the kicking game. Clemson was a disaster in this one. Missed 4 field goals, had this one blocked, and Rashard Choice, guys, will make it count immediately as Georgia Tech goes on top 7-3. This guy can run.
He's one of the best goal line runners, short yardage runners in the nation.
Second quarter, same score. Home team trying to hang on. And C.J. Spiller, this man is just electrifying. What a move there. Sort of his version of Deshaun Jackson. Hesitate, then take it in. Flag on the play. It is coming back. And I mentioned not sound in the kicking game. Mark Buchholz here trying to get his team within 1, and it's a shame. Georgia Tech's got the lead at the halftime. And it's now a 10-point fourth quarter deficit. Cullen Harper looking deep. Morgan Burnett will pick it off. And Georgia Tech gets a big win at home for Coach Gaylor. Coach?
They do. It's the second big win he's had at home as far as a ranked team. He's 2-8 against them, but this also going into this.
LSU and Tulane both wearing uniforms designed by Nike. They'll be auctioned off after the game for Katrina relief. And Matt Flynn and the Bayou Bengals needed some relief here after, well, that's a safety, and it's 7-2. Last week, they trailed at home briefly against South Carolina. That was South Carolina. Tulane's not really going to take away. They actually, oh my goodness. Green Wave lead late. But I asked Lou when this happened live, can they hold on? And you told me then, Lou,
that they could. And eventually LSU would win the football game.
And they would. Luke Sanders here. Strip pounced on by LSU, and the ensuing drive, 3rd and goal. It's Jacob Hester who has bided his time and now become a big part of this team. They win big, 34-9. Florida Atlantic, maybe a look-ahead game for Kentucky. They've got a monster schedule coming up against South Carolina at home starting this Thursday that gets things going. It's Andre Woodson, Dickie Lyons, touchdown. Woodson's one of the best quarterbacks in the land. How good Mayday is this Kentucky team?
They're outstanding. They're the second-best team in the SEC, and right now it's a fluid situation. I have them in my top 5.
Mayday's got them in the top 5, Coach.
I wouldn't have them in the top 5, but be sure and watch Thursday on ESPN. Kentucky, South Carolina may determine the Eastern Division winner in the SEC.
You saw the Woodson to Steve Johnson touchdown, and oh my goodness, the longest pass attempt without a pick at 3:25 ends right there. It's Tavius Polo of Florida Atlantic, who led the nation coming in and got one, but Kentucky wins easy. Head ball coach went to Chris Smelly, and Chris Smelly went to Kenny McKinley, and that is a good combination for the Gamecocks. What a move here, fellas.
He's a fine athlete who can run well with the ball. Very, very dangerous. Also a great punt returner.
Here's Smelly, McKinley, work once, let's do it again. Gamecocks take the lead there and added a score late that made they were back in the Gamecocks happy. Georgia, Ole Miss. Coach Orgeron's team's made a habit of competing for a while, but they faded in this one. Thomas Brown, part of the 328 yards that the Dogs hunkered down and chewed up in this game, ties things up at 7. Matthew Stafford to Muhammad Massaquoi, and this kid and this combination, I think, over the next couple of years should really become a good one, don't you think, guys?
It's going to be awesome. The way that you look at Matthew Stafford today, running and throwing the football, he's getting better each week, but it's the running game of Georgia. Here's Brown again.
What a move.
Look at that move. Takes it in 41 yards for the score.
It was close, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't. What's that coming down the track? It's Georgia in red and black. First time ever Bobby Bowden gets to coach against Bama, the team he grew up pulling for. Xavier Lee, 3rd quarterback of the game for the Noles. 3rd quarter, and it is a slugfest defensive style until Dakota Fag gets the touchdown. Florida State up 7-0. Then Bama down but on the comeback trail. John Parker Wilson finds Keith Brown. He got blasted, ruled a touchdown. 7-point game. Ultimately, Brown would get up and walk off the field. Ensuing onside kick. And Bama has got it. They're going to get a chance with a minute left to tie this football game up until... And as a coach and as a player, this has got to break your heart. Off the helmet. And Florida State, Coach Bowden beats the team that he grew up rooting for. Arizona State ranked. Dennis Erickson's team looking good, looking dangerous as well. They weren't looking like much in this game against Stanford, kind of scuffling along until Rudy Carpenter hits Rudy Burgess. Hello, he's gone. Much to the dismay of Reese Davis, early in the game, Arizona State went for 2. They would get it. Ensuing Stanford possession, that's when it all went terribly wrong, didn't it? Ostrander picked by Omar Bolden, and then in the blink of an eye, a 6-0 game turns into a 21-0 game on their way to a 41-3 final. Arizona State handling theirs. The embattled Coach Fran down there at A&M, facing Baylor, Stephen McGee, Mike Goodson, looking for space, finding it, and what a run. Gig'em, 12th man loving that. A&M goes up 10-3. Jaworski Lane, he didn't get a whole lot of carries in the Miami game and didn't look too thrilled about it. Here he takes it in. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, I'm sure, happy to put a little distance in the rear view between themselves and that. They took on Sam Houston State. And Coach, after a situation like that, you just get a win, let that dust settle. Is that about right?
No, I tell you what, you defend your player. That means an awful lot to the other players because they think if I'm in that situation, the coach will defend me as well.
Fair enough. You saw a touchdown from Adarius Bowman and Julius Crosland, and they win very easily. A team that does not win easily this year is Virginia Tech. Tyrod Taylor, a good-looking freshman, but just They're just, it doesn't seem fellas clicking on all the cylinders just yet, although they do take a lead there 7-0.
But I think the freshman's got a bright future, and he gets the job done when called upon early this season.
Xavier Adibi. This man has been so good for the Hokies. It seems like forever because he played from the second he got there. And Hokies defense making a big play. You give it over to Brandon Orr. And Butch Davis's Tar Heel team gave a good fight, but ultimately they dropped. Some other ball games with some offense. How about 713 yards with 446 of it on the ground, Arkansas style. Casey Dix to Felix Jones. Jones finished with 132, 66-7. Arkansas team that could use to feel good about themselves win after a couple of tough losses. They get it. Duke's playing much better these days. Got a win against Northwestern, battled Navy, and it's a 3-point game late. Dalion Farr sheds a tackle. And Duke, not quite the cupcake they were the last couple of years. Miami gets the win. Louisville, speaking of a team that could use a win. Brian Brahmy's not going to win the Heisman, but like to win some games. George Stripling takes it in. Louisville beats NC State. Coach O'Brien thinking, why did I leave Boston College for NC State? They're struggling. Oregon State and UCLA. Brandon Brazil takes it, and see you later. Oregon State scored the first 14 points of the game. You know how many UCLA scored in a row, man?
How many?
40. 40. UCLA can't make heads or tails of this team.
That's twice this year Oregon State's lost a big lead.
Well, they lost this one. Hawaii. My boy Neil Everett's gang. Cole Brennan back after sitting out with a sprained ankle, and Warriors first drive. You know what they do. You go up top. Ryan Grice-Mullins. Touchdown. Hawaii leads 7-0. But this was a sketchy performance from Brennan. Here he's picked by Brayon Williams. And fellas, I don't think that you can't have 5 interceptions in a game against Idaho and win the Heisman Trophy, can you?
No.
I wouldn't think so. Here, Brennan's second pick. He never had more than 2 in a game. He's picked 5 times, but he does finish with 369 and 3 touchdowns.
All right, UMass at number 12, Boston College. Matt Ryan's Eagles with a shot to start 5-0 for the first time in 53 years. Second quarter, BC in the red zone. Ryan, Justin Jarvis, 9 yards, touchdown. Ryan, 7 of 8 on the 96-yard drive, the longest of the year for BC. Eagles up 17-0 at the break. Third quarter, Massachusetts down 17-7, trying to rally. Liam Cohen, the pass to Jeremy Horn, who does the rest, and the lead is cut to 17-14. BC answers. Ryan hands off to Andre Callender. Career high 32 carries, 115 yards, and 2 TDs. And the Eagles win 24-14. Notre Dame at Purdue. Charlie Weiss is 0-4 Irish, taking on the 4-0 Boilermakers. Second quarter, Purdue up 13-0. Curtis Painter, Dorian Bryant, 11 yards, touchdown. Boilermakers up 23-0 at the break. Third quarter, here come the Irish on 4th and goal. Jimmy Clausen to tight end John Carlson. Clausen's first career TD pass, extra point no good. Clausen, though, gets hit hard. Has to come out, replaced by Evan Sharpley. Fourth quarter, Sharpley looking for and finding Duval Camara. Notre Dame would miss another PAT. Irish down 26-12. Sharpley back to work. Deep. Golden Tate for the Golden Domers. Notre Dame outscored Purdue 19-10 in the second half. Boilermakers, though, respond. It's Painter to Dustin Keller. Touchdown. Purdue improving to 5-0 with a 33-19 win. Notre Dame winless.